What's going on, everyone? So, rumors are going around that the Los Angeles Lakers have at least made preliminary talks with the New Orleans Pelicans in a potential Brandon Ingram trade. Now, the Lakers are favored to land Brandon Ingram. A lot of that is he just recently signed with Clutch. Now he has to wait like a 15-day, or I believe it's 15-day period before it becomes official, but he is expected to sign with Clutch, which lines up perfectly with December 15th, when the Lakers are kind of expected to make a move around that time, at least one, and then kind of take a step back, evaluate, see what else you need, and then keep making pushes going forward to the trade deadline, right? See what else develops, what opens up, asking prices start coming down, things start, maybe going in the Lakers' favor. Brandon Ingram and the Los Angeles Lakers, right? Brandon back an old Laker, does make some sense. And I've talked about Brandon Ingram kind of heavily lately because he's kind of the guy of conversation right now. He signs with Clutch, right? Like, he's going to be linked heavily with the Lakers. I mean, even in that video that I made talking about the news that he signed with Clutch, I was like, get ready, for all the Brandon Ingram to the Laker news. And you're starting to hear that. Now, preliminary talks is nothing. Right? That's basically like, hey, still trading Brandon Ingram? Yeah? What are you looking to get? Cool. All right, we'll let you know. Right? Like, it's when you start hearing those rumors, those reports of like the advanced talks, the advanced conversations, right? Like Lakers and the Pelicans are in advanced talks for a trade for Brandon Ingram or something like that. That's when you start to, okay, maybe something's brewing, something's gonna get done, right? Everything's rumor, everything's just report until it actually comes to be. Even we've seen things where they're like, teams are ramping up to get this trade done, might be done by the end of the day, and then it never ends up happening. But I do like that the Lakers at least, touch base, right? You see, what are you looking to get, right? Do you want, are you looking for 2 firsts? Because that ain't happening, right? There's a big risk. Are you essentially trying to get them away? Also, how much salary are you willing to take on, right? Because supposedly the Pelicans don't want to take on any salary. Well, good luck. Unless you're trading him for Ben Simmons, right? Like, you're not getting, and the Nets aren't going to do that. Nets would do that because Brandon Ingram's probably not going to stay with the Nets. He wants to go to a winning culture. He wants to go to a winning team or a team that he feels like he can win with. He's not going to go to the Nets. Like, the Nets would end up losing him. Like, if they knew, like, okay, like, we get Brandon Ingram and then Giannis, he might be available in the offseason, or, De'Aaron Fox or Jimmy Butler or something. If they're like, hey, we might be able to sign like 1, 2, 3 guys, then sure, maybe. But like the Nets are looking to kind of hit the reset button here, right? So like, they're expected to have a fire sale. They're not going to just so the Pelicans would probably have to give up assets in order to make that happen for Brooklyn, for it to make sense for Brooklyn. Because it's like, okay, we're just going to swap Ben Simmons for Brandon Ingram. We're just helping you. Like, we get nothing out of it. Yeah, we clear, the salary either way, but it's just, unless they're willing to give up a second or something. But at that point, why? You might as well go get something of value, right? Like, there are pieces that make sense for the Pelicans, right? Like, a Rui makes some sense, especially with all their forwards and stuff are hurt this year, right? Like, and even then, like Rui off the bench, could make some sense for them at that forward. All their wings outside of Zion, of course, but who knows what happens with Zion at this point? Like, anything could happen with Zion. I mean, he could end up being traded by the trade deadline. Who knows? But outside of Zion, all of their wings are kind of the skinny, scrawnier ones, right? They're all 3s rather than 4s. Rui's like a true 4, so it might make some sense there. And also, if you look to trade Zion in the offseason, then having Brandon or Rui Hachimura might actually make some sense, kind of as like that gap stop. And at that point, he won't be on this like long-term salary, this long-term money, right? You take a D'Angelo Russell, right? Take a vet minimum guy, right? So you basically clear half of Brandon Ingram's salary off the book. So at least half of it's gone, clean, clear. And you probably get a couple assets on it. Problem is like, do the Lakers, is he worth the first? Is he like worth the first? Yes. Right? In the sense of like, no, like, would you trade a first for Brandon Ingram? Yeah, he's worth it, but he's not worth it because he wants a max contract, and he may end up going and say, like, you could lose him for nothing, right? So if you're the Lakers, you could go and trade everything for Brandon Ingram. You could give up a first, and then he leaves, and you just gave a first away. Right, yeah, you cleared up some salary and stuff, but unless you go get another star, right, unless Kyrie decides, hey, this is my opportunity to go to the Lakers, right, because then at that point you kind of justify it. It's like, oh, well, we basically traded the first to clear the salary to ultimately get Kyrie. Right, you can kind of like, talk around it, right? You kind of like, hey, it still ended up with a star, right? Like, but outside of that, there is a real risk. And that's also a problem, right? The guy wants max money. He's not going to get max. I would be shocked. If this was any other year, he'd get max money, right? But now with this new CBA, I just not see a team giving him max money. Now, if you can get him, for 4 years, $120 million, I think, that would be good. Like LeBron James, he was willing to take $20 million less for a Klay Thompson or a DeMar DeRozan or a Jonas Valanciunas. Brandon Ingram's better than all those guys, right? So it's like, okay, get a guy in Brandon Ingram. If LeBron's willing to take $20 million less or whatever, you could kind of fill in the gaps, right? Like let's say you get a Brandon Ingram, Dorian Finney-Smith, and Day'Ron Sharpe, right? Now you got like 2 legit 3-and-D wings. The beauty of Brandon Ingram is he can slot in 2 through 4 essentially. So I mean, you could, if you wanted to, your starting 5 could be Reeves, Brandon Ingram, Dorian Finney-Smith, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis could be your 5, right? Like that could work. That could be fine, right? Like, so if you could do something like that, and then it's like, okay, we got our starting 5 is sound. Our starting 5 is great. Hey, LeBron, we need you to cut a little off the top, right? You have, a guy, maybe Dorian Finney-Smith opts out and you give him kind of a new deal, a cheaper deal, instead of $15 million next year, it's like, hey, we'll give you, 3 years at $30 million or something, right? And he takes that deal. And so you cleared, a little salary cap that way. And then, probably just kind of balances out with Day'Ron Sharpe's contract, but like let's say you clear a little salary there, you have kind of the vet minimum guys fall off the books, and then Brandon Ingram's taking $6 million less, than what he's making right now, so automatically clear $6 million off the books, and then LeBron can take $20 million plus or less, or less. You might be able to free up a full mid-level and maybe get another guy, right? So you got BI. Let's say you got B.I., Dorian Finney-Smith, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Austin Reeves. Like, you could look to move Austin Reeves and try to work something out. Or you could use your mid-level exception. Like, will Bruce Brown take the mid-level again? He was supposed to. He was willing to do it. We were supposed to get him instead of Gabe Vincent originally, right? And then the Indiana Pacers were the team that, were like, hey, we'll double the salary, which worked out for Indiana because they got Pascal Siakam. But maybe in the offseason, maybe you're going to go get a Bruce Brown and another piece, right? So that way now you really are like 8 deep with Connect. And, it's just like, man, we got this really solid 8, 9, 10 guys. And, maybe you're contending this season. Even if you don't win, it's like, okay, well, we have the foundation. We're there. We're right there, right? Just kind of plug in the pieces necessary. But, the problem is you don't really have many options. Now, personally, I would prefer Zach LaVine. I just think, yes, he's more expensive, but I just think he's a better natural fit. But Brandon Ingram does solve a lot, right? Gives you that size, length, athleticism, perimeter wing that can defend, do multiple things on the basketball court. He's a guy that can rebound. I mean, you're talking about a guy that's 23, 6-6, right? Like 23, 6-5. Right? Like he's a guy that can make plays. He's a guy that can rebound the basketball. He's a guy that can, go get you buckets on any given night. He could be your first, second best player, right? I think he's best as like your third guy, but on any given night, LeBron can just, hey, tonight's your night. Go handle business. Go drop 30. And he can do it. Right? Shooting 36% from 3, which isn't great, but he's also doing that as the main guy, right? Like, what does he look like alongside LeBron James and Anthony Davis? I think he's worth the risk, in my opinion, because it's like, what else? We need that ceiling raiser, in my opinion, right? Like, unless we can get 3, 4, 5 guys, right? If you get like 3, 4, 5, like if you basically roster rehaul and you trade everybody but like LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and Dalton Connect, then yeah, I think you could probably do that. But that's a lot harder than to go get like, undervalued, deal in Brandon Ingram or a Zach LaVine and then go get like one or two mid-tier guys. Right now you have that real ceiling raiser. On top of the real ceiling raiser, you're adding in that other, that guy. And then now you're adding in that backup center. Boom, you're ready to go. Let's go win a championship. It's kind of my thoughts in that regard. But, it just, again, at the end of the day, it all kind of just depends on how things kind of play out. Again, preliminary talks doesn't necessarily mean that, a deal is going to get done or anything, right? Like I said, that's just essentially them picking up the phone call and going like, hey, what do you think? Right? Like, where's your head at type thing, right? And look, the Pelicans, I've already said, like, they're not going to just trade them, like, because if you're not going to take a bad deal, because a bad deal makes no sense because you're trying to contend, right? Like, you want to see, like, okay, what does this look like without Brandon Ingram? So you're almost better off just let his money fall off, right? Like, just let him walk, right? Good luck, right? Then take on. So I understand them not wanting to take on a bunch of long-term salary, but you're going to have to take on, there's not a team in the league that is going to be able to just give you a bunch of expirings that he's going to want to go to, like, unless you're willing to give up assets. But again, that makes no sense for the Pelicans. So anyway, as always, this is a discussion. I pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you like the idea? Do you hate the idea? Do you like the idea of Brandon Ingram? Do you think, no, stay away from Brandon Ingram? How do you feel? Whatever your thoughts are. I'd love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.